To go furthermore on that special day, we have a Skype call with Mr. Rafik ElOuerchefani, the Regional Director of UNICEF for the Gulf countries. Hello, Mr. Rafik, and thank you for joining us on the newscast live. Can you please elaborate?
Thank you for inviting me tonight.
Thank you. Can you please elaborate to us on the UN efforts to exploit the potentials of the disabled people around the world?
Yes. First, let me thank you, Kuwait TV, for joining our advocacy on this important day. We can certainly look at disabilities from different perspectives, human rights, equality, justice, and other angles. Your questions underpins a very important point about potential. So at the UN, with our partners, we invest in evidence and strategies to address the negative attitudes, beliefs, norms, stigma, and other forms of discrimination against people with disabilities. But we also invest in making services more accessible and more inclusive. We do that because we must collaboratively and collectively tackle those barriers that are keeping people with disabilities isolated. By addressing those barriers, we help the children and the adults reach their full potential. And our future actually depends on it. We have, as you mentioned in the report earlier, 1 billion people living with disabilities worldwide. And they are today less likely to enjoy access to education, healthcare, livelihoods, and be part of the community. Those 1 billion people are today less likely to enjoy the same benefits that we have. They live mostly in poverty compared to others. They experience higher rates of violence, neglect, abuse. And now, under COVID-19, the people with disabilities are more affected than others, even more than before. So we've been at the UN marking December 3rd since 1992. But this year, it has a special meaning. It's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to build back better. We are rebuilding our economies now. We are finding new ways to learn, new ways to work. So it's an opportunity, really, to ensure that the aspirations and the rights of persons with disabilities are included and they are accounted for in the society and the sustainable future that we are building together in the post-COVID-19 world.
And one final question to you, Mr. Rafik. Can you also please highlight the importance of this initiative being conducted by the United Nations to empower people with disabilities, and also how important is it for the UN and other organizations to recognize this important segment of society?
Yeah, of course. Allow me to begin with a quick word about our work at UNICEF. Our tagline and on our logo is "For Every Child." And for every child, that includes children with disability. And actually, children with disability come first, especially in those countries and areas that are affected by crisis and emergencies. So that's how seriously we take the issue and how it is at our heart. So we know that girls and boys with disabilities are at a greater risk of exclusion from education. We clearly see that now from some of the distant learning programs, for example, which are imported under the current COVID response. If those programs are not accessible, they're excluding this important group of our society. So empowerment really starts with education. We need to invest in each child with disabilities because that's an investment in our future. We cannot speak as UN, as international community, as governments, as civil society. We cannot speak about peace and justice without empowering people with disability. It's really at the heart of everyone's mandate, and it should be. And definitely, we cannot talk about human rights. We cannot achieving progress without empowering people with disability. So that's why, in addition to the programs that are specifically designed to address the barriers facing people with disabilities, we need to ensure that all programs are inclusive, all of them, every single thing that you do. And at the UN, we are trying to lead by example. We are proud to have people with disabilities in various positions, including at very senior levels within the UN. And we continue to work with our government partners, civil society partners, businesses, other stakeholders to ensure that we are doing the necessary, be it passing new laws, building accessible playgrounds for children, designing inclusive curricula, and anything and everything that we should do must be in that way inclusive of children and adults with disabilities.
Mr. Rafik ElOuerchefani, the Regional Director of UNICEF for Gulf countries. Thank you very much for this valuable information.